He's got a silly
think you
giraffe
had a
wearing
cider.
an astronaut hat that makes no sense. It's just around his head. That's not going to help you breathe in space. But anyway, I like it.
Random. It's so random. Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have a sweet sponsor in Gear Up Sports, a youth sports platform focused on solving the uniform and apparel headache for coaches. If you're a youth or high school coach and need some uniforms, a player pack, please contact them at www.gearupwithus.com and make sure to mention the R&R Catcast. And you can also venture over there to check out our merchandise store. Thorny, we are here for playoff football, man. North Dakota State Bison, the Bison, are coming to Bozeman, Montana.
There's no Z. They are coming, man. The herd's coming to Bozeman.
Roger Fisher, I would vote no Z in Bison.
Yeah, I think he already made some up his mind on that, but yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the first time I heard that, like on a broadcast or something, like, what? Why are they saying it like that? I don't know. Grew up in Montana. I only ever heard Bison. So, Great Falls Bison. You know, I went to Great Falls. Hi.
We worked at Bison. Falls. Yep. Well, man, I was heated last week, and I feel a little bit calmer. I still have some feels. I've been going it's been a roller coaster for me, man. The heart of Ryan Foley has been all over the place with Montana State football.
His emotions.
Yeah. I just need I need to flush everything. I just want to see the Cats play. I have a lot of questions.
We'll get into those questions, I think.
Yeah. All right. Let's paint a picture for the listener. Today we're going to do a little bit different because we don't have a game to recap. We're in postseason mode. My favorite season, the postseason.
December football.
It is.
It will be. It will be, right? Will it?
Yes, it will be December football. Right. December 1st is on Friday. So, yes, it will be December football. All right. So, we are going to talk about some news today. The Cats awards for the Big Sky Conference. So, we'll go through the first team, second team, and honorable mention. After that, we will talk about the press conference and give you some just basic takes from Coach Fegan. And then in lieu of stats, Thorny's going to run down North Dakota State's schedule, their win-loss record, and probably punt a couple questions back and forth to each other during that time. But then we're going to get right into the meat of it. We'll talk about what we want to see. It'll be a mixture of golden coolies because we have some on Bobcat Nation and Twitter.
Sounds good, man. Nice, simple episode. But nothing simple about the game coming up, but the outline should be doable.
All right. But first, let's talk about what's in our golden coolies.
What's in your golden coolie?
What's in your golden coolie is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. Go see Shea Richter and Company up in Fort Benton and the Golden Triangle for all of your farming and fertilizer needs. Fully, I'm tired, man. I am tired. We didn't get into that in the beginning. We usually kind of do a how are you doing kind of thing. We kind of just flew past that. And the reason I'm telling you right now is because I'm drinking a hard cider in hopes that the sugar is going to boost my energy level a little bit here for this podcast. I have a Excelsior Imperial Apple from the Schilling Cider House over in Auburn, Washington. And I've never had it before. I bought it on a whim. It's really good. I don't drink a lot of hard ciders. It's a nice mixture of dry and sweet. I always find them either too sweet or too dry. I can never seem to find one that's like right in the middle. It's good. So, plus a bonus 8.4% alcohol. Like many ciders tend to be pretty powerful out here in Washington. So it's good, man. I don't know if I've had a cider on the podcast before, but I'm enjoying it.
Turning over a new leaf.
It's got a silly giraffe wearing an astronaut hat that makes no sense. It's just around his head. That's not going to help you breathe in space. But anyway, I like it.
Random. It's so random. Oh, all right. That's good, man. That right there is the outtake, the intro.
It's not going to help you breathe in space.
Yep. Okay. Thorny, man, this is for you. Take a look in the screen. Prickly Pear Pale Ale.
Nice. Nicely done.
Lewis and Clark Brewing, Helena, Montana.
I love that place. I miss that place. I miss Helena. I miss Montana.
It was awesome. Montana.
Oh, that's right. You went.
Distinct. It's just, when you cross the border, you just know you're in Montana. If you're in Montana, you know what I'm talking about. When you go into Montana, it feels different.
It does.
I love it, man.
It just feels like you get like this excitement, like this the feeling of home. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I get it every time I go back.
Every Montana
knows.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the news. The postseason awards came out, and they were posted on probably all over social media. I don't have social media. I went through this whole season without social media. How about that, Thorny? I can do a podcast. I did it, man.
Granted, I did screenshot a few things here and there to you that I thought you would
kind of fun text messages. I always appreciate those. So,
kind of like your filter. I'm not giving you any of the stuff you don't want to see. Just a few things here and there, but it's also time consuming. So I'm like, oh, Foley would like this, but I'm tired and I don't want to be his middleman for him. But I sent you some anyway, here and there.
Oh, well, it's nice to know your feelings now, but I appreciate all the little snippets you send me every now and then. But this was also posted on msubobcats.com, and that's where I get a lot of my information anymore. First team, this is Big Sky Conference Awards. Rush Reimer, offensive line. Marcus Ware, offensive line. Shane Pickering, tight end. Derek Snell, fullback. Sean Chambers, all-purpose player. For the defense, did you have something to say?
Well, I was going to say, the all-purpose player, was that a position before Troy Anderson?
It's a great question.
I feel like it's kind of basically the Troy Anderson Award.
Okay. We did have some defensive guys hit first team as well. Brody Grebe, defensive line. Nolan Askelson, linebacker. And punter, Brandon Hall, sticks. First team.
All right. Yeah, that's good. It's a good list. I'm happy to see Snell on there. I mean, he missed multiple games, so it would have been, I think, fair to leave him off. But I think it's kind of just a show of respect for his career and stuff that he was on there. And honestly, I mean, are there even any other fullbacks in the league?
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about. That position is
also the Montana State Award, kind of.
Yeah, niche. So
Idaho ran one a couple years ago. They had a really good tight end when he grad transferred somewhere like last year, and then they kind of went away from that. That was more of a Paul Petrino offense. So I think Idaho was the last team to also have a fullback. Now it's basically Montana State.
Well, wasn't Joe Prothero for Cal Poly?
Yeah, that was a triple option team. Yeah. I mean, everyone's a fullback or a running back.
Good point.
You're just a back. I mean, you're on the triple option.
We did have some second team and some honorable mentions. Second team, Tommy Malott, quarterback, if you didn't know. Julius Davis, our running back. Omar Abidian, offensive line. And Seabass, Sebastian Valdez. That's kind of weird. Sebastian Valdez, second team. That's one I would have predicted early in the season to be first team All-American. But
yeah.
There he is.
I'm not entirely sure he's had a first team All-American type campaign.
Ew.
So I mean, it seems kind of fair to me a little bit. Although I'm pretty surprised.
That's about as hot takey as you get right there, man.
I was pretty surprised to see a Cal Poly defensive lineman first team. Like, it must have been pretty damn good. God, I watched Cal Poly play against the Cats, and nobody stood out to me anywhere. So it's what it is.
All right. Honorable mention, we had Justice Perkins at center and Riley Norda as a defensive back. So there are your Montana State Bobcats postseason awards. We haven't had the All-American teams come out yet, but those are the Big Sky Awards.
Think there's any snubs from the Bobcats? Anyone not on here that you think should have been?
I think Drew Polidor could have been on honorable mention, maybe second team. played really good safety.
I think he
although
might have
hurt.
had a chance, if he wasn't hurt. I think it's what held him back.
Anyone for you?
No, I mean, maybe Marcus Ware. I could see being on here somewhere.
He was first team.
Oh, was he first team? Jeez, I'm missing it then. So we had Reimer, Marcus Ware, and Justice Perkins, and Omar Abidian. So pretty much
Connor
the whole
Moore.
squad, except for Connor Moore, who was like a finalist for the Freshman of the Year. So pretty good accolades for the Montana State offensive line, and well-deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice job, Cats. 8 on the first team. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's impressive.
It is.
Previous Bobcat teams that have had this kind of team mantra haven't seemed to have a lot of the accolades. So it's good to see kind of the recognition. One of the best teams in the league should have pretty good representation on the all-conference lists.
Danny Yu could have been on that list too somewhere.
Yep. Again, injuries derailed him a little bit. He's still our leading tackler, isn't he? Even having missed 3 games, or did Askelson pass maybe?
Yeah, I haven't crunched those numbers. I haven't looked too much on that, but they're out there. I guess we could look at that. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the vegan presser.
Well, we got to start off with the good stuff.
And now, Bobcat fans, it's time for F&F Fashion Watch, brought to you by Foley and Fisher, the only two that seem to really care what Brent Vegan is wearing at his press conference.
That's right. Coach Vegan was looking dapper as usual in a charcoal suit, a subtle patterned shirt with little checkered lines, a blue tie with silver dots. There's your fashion watch.
Man, that was a quick fashion watch. I leaned back in my chair, expecting, close my eyes, just letting Foley paint a picture of Brent Vegan for me. And that was a short picture. I didn't get much of the lines filled in, but that's okay.
I like the charcoal suit. It looked good. And the biggest thing I noticed that he's been doing different is his shirt had a little checkered pattern, a very subtle checkered pattern. And the last couple of weeks, he's been going with the solid white shirt. I think that's a good mix-up. Could be a good sign.
We'd have to really crunch some numbers to what has he worn and trying to find some sort of correlation from the presser and the outcome of the next game. Is there a correlation? I was impressed with his decor, what he was wearing heading into CAC Riz, and that didn't seem to work out so hot. So who knows, man? Who knows? But interesting, sort of, to say the least.
Well, news that come out of the presser was not too much. As you might assume, he was very glowing of North Dakota State. We all know Coach Vegan's ties to North Dakota State. His wife played ball there. He played ball there. His kids were born there. So
he was coaching the last time the Bison came to Bozeman.
And I think Willie Mack was on that staff as well. So if not, Willie Mack has coached for North Dakota State. So there is ties to 2 of our coaches from that squad. He mentions being more physical. And that was something, and that was a big question coming out of the Montana State game. So he talked about that. I thought Victor Flores asked a good question. He said, is there any kind of parallels to Weber State? Last year during the playoffs to this game, Weber State 8-3 last year, I think, but not ranked, a highly, a good team that did not get a ranking. And so and coach was like, yeah, well, maybe, but we had seen Weber before. But so there's maybe some sort of narrative you could craft around that. One thing he did mention about North Dakota State, and I didn't realize this, even when I was looking at their roster, he said there's 30-plus seniors in the 2 deep. That's a pretty senior-laden team. So a lot of those guys that we're going to see, we saw in 2021.
We saw in Frisco, yeah, exactly. Those guys have been there, done that, won a national championship, been to the national championship last year. Let's not forget, just because South Dakota State's the talk of the town, North Dakota State was in the national championship last year again. Just happened to lose one, which for them is end of the world, right? They lost one.
Yeah. Coach Vegan said he wants to start fast. But even if we don't start fast, he wants to, reiterate, like, if they score first on us, that it's not the end of the game. That's something you and I question. Like, if we get down early, is it over? And I think if you look through the prediction thread online, who has that scenario going down? Vim. He has like 2 different paths. If we score early, we're going to do this. And if they score early, it looks a lot different. I don't know if I really agree with Vim on that one, but there's some, I understand why he says it.
Yeah.
Well, also,
it's like people could think, thought Cat Grizz, like you could tell people were heading into that or thinking that the game would be decided in the first series by each team. And I don't know if I'd bought that exactly either, but it's kind of the same thing. I think people are kind of extrapolating a lot from that Cat Grizz game and the way our losses have come together. Yeah, if we start slow and get behind, I just don't know if I buy that we can't dig ourselves out of a hole.
Correct.
We haven't.
Correct.
So the narrative is obviously there, but I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's the end of the world, like Vegan says.
You mentioned that Cam Miller has become the best player on their offense. He was a game manager when he started off maybe in 2021. He's a senior this year, so he's just the guy that steers the ship for them over there. On injury news, still no Snell. He's off his scooter into a boot. But other than that, we've been getting more and more healthy. Yeah. And he says largely for the first time going into December ball, we're pretty healthy. So we're going to get Polidor back. We'll have Trayton Pickering 2 weeks rested. Thinking of someone else. Oh, Danny Yu. He's getting stronger.
Yep.
He's getting more flexibility in his elbow there, is what he said in the interview I watched today. So good news for the Bobcats,
And guys are dinged up, too. You don't hear about them. You don't see them. They don't play. But a week of rest is good for guys like Brody Grebe, Sebastian Valdez, those guys just battling in the trenches, getting beat up all game. I'm sure they're happy to have a week to kind of recover some of those bruises and bumps because the Bison don't have that luxury. Now, I don't know how many their players probably got out pretty soon against Drake, so as good a scenario as you can get. But still, they haven't had a bye week in quite a while.
It's true. One injury, that Snell injury is understated. You can't understate it. Is what I meant to say. He's such an important player for our team. Him and Pickering out was hard. So I'm excited to get Trayton back. And, I'm just looking forward to watching Bobcat football in Bozeman once again.
Oh, agreed. Sorry, I was just looking at North Dakota State's schedule. Their bye was week 4.
Wow.
So they haven't had a bye since September 24th. That was their bye week.
So Cam Miller, I was watching a presser today from the Bison, and Cam Miller they asked him a question about, hey, what do you guys think about having to play first round? He's like, we're a hot team. Why wouldn't we want to play the first round? And I thought that was a perfect response. They are. They're peaking at the right time, and I kind of thought Montana State would have benefited from playing last week as well. I kind of wish we didn't have this bye, but I don't know. I go back and forth on that.
If we that's for a different scenario, right? That's a different reason than being the hot team. That was more like to flush Cat Grizz out of your mouth faster.
Correct.
Although,
correct.
Properly, too, you could say that we've been using that loss to be mad for 2 weeks, and we're just going to come out and be pissed off. That's what you hope happens.
Correct. What happened in 2021 when this happened, when we got smoked? Matt McKay decided to leave the team. Insert Tommy Malott, who is just this raw athletic quarterback that we said basically, hey, throw it to Lance McCutcheon a couple times and then go be the most athletic guy out in the field. And that propelled us to the national championship. It did. Do we have something that's changed like that inserts some sort of juice into the Cats? I'm not sure.
Do we need it?
I also think our defense was playing better at that point than our defense now. We had Freddie Banks as our defensive coordinator, Troy Anderson, Andre Williams.
That was an all-time defense.
Daniel Hardy. Yeah, just all those dudes. And those guys were playing really good defense down the stretch. This all culminated, obviously, in the national championship. But before that, we played Tennessee Martin. That was a windy day in Bozeman, Montana. Tommy Mellott just was like completely raw during that game and showed his wheels, right? But then we had to go play the number 1 team on the road, Sam Houston State, and that remains one of the best victories Coach Vigen has had, most complete games. That's the kind of game we need going into this North Dakota State game. We need a moment like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. To go back to what you said, though, like, I feel like a lot of people are searching for this. Something has to be similar to 2021. Some big change has to come after losing to the Grizz. What's it going to be? I don't know if it has to be a big, huge, drastic change like replacing your starting quarterback. Or if you listen to some of the guys on Bobcat Nation, firing your offensive coordinator right before a playoff game. These things aren't necessarily, number one, even if you did them, it's not guaranteed to have any success. I mean, Tommy Mellott being inserted could have completely fell back on Vigen too. In 2021, it didn't. It worked out great. Things have to change. Something's got to change from the way we've been playing. I just don't know if it needs to be something big and drastic. Like everyone's searching for this magic fix. I don't think there is one this year. I think we got to dig deep and play better football, coach better games. Everyone's got to do better.
I think it could be both. I think there is a little bit of fixing needing to happen. I'll just state it right now. We need more Sean Chambers. We need more wife's chili, man. Like mixing the chilies was pretty much non-existent in our losses. And sometimes when I was thinking about this, I've been going back and forth on it. Mixing the chilies is good, but sometimes I feel better. Like we play better sometimes when we're forced to play one. I don't want any of these quarterbacks to get hurt, but when we've looked the best is when Sean Chambers has been at the helm and he's been the dude. Like Montana State has looked unequivocally, in my eyes, the best offensively when Sean Chambers is at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, you say like we look better with one, but you mean what you really mean is Sean Chambers. Because our complaints are when we lose, it's too much Tommy.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So it's definitely not one, it's a specific one I think you're referring to. And yeah, when you say, Chambers needs to play more, and I agree 100%, I just don't know if that's a change necessarily. That's just more like we need to make sure we do that. Because we have done that. In fact, we've done that in the majority of the games. The times that we don't are the times that we lose. It seems pretty pretty clear cut. I ran some numbers on Bobcat Nation, like usage of Sean Chambers as percentage of your plays ran. Not just his touches, like, okay, how many touches did the running backs get? How many rushes did we get? And how many of those were Sean Chambers? The 3 statistically lowest usage games were, well, the 2 were Idaho and the Grizz. And they were actually using them relatively well in the first half at South Dakota State. And I threw out the second half in those numbers because Tommy was hurt. It was all Sean. But the 2 games we looked the worst in, Idaho and Montana, had the lowest, like less than 10% of offensive plays involved Sean Chambers. And that's just not going to do it.
Some of the times I like how we use him, and some of the times I really love how we use him. For instance, when we bring in Sean for a down or 2, and then we mix the chilies, as we say here, between like, hey, first and second, third and fourth, or something, whatever it is, that's okay to me. I've always contended that Sean Chambers needs time to get in a rhythm. I always say he's like an old motor and just needs time to warm up. But once he's going, it's like a Willys Jeep, man. That guy doesn't stop.
And then he gets taken out.
Yeah, exactly. So hey, we're going to put you in for 2 snaps and we're going to pull you. And then I don't love that. Does it work? Yeah, it works. But what I love is when I see him play a full series. Hey, Chambers, you're going to get the ball until we either score or you give it up.
Until you give us a reason to take you out of the game.
Exactly.
It's a hard balance, man. Like, this is not something that a lot of programs do, and there's a reason for it. They always say, like, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. It's also just hard. Okay, you got 2 guys, and they do work well together. It's still a hard balance as a coordinator, as a game planner, to know when to use them. How much scripted are the drives? How much of you kind of go with the flow? Who's got the hot hand? How much, like, that's a hard thing to do, I think. If you sit down and think about it, I think pretty much what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay starting Tommy. And if he gives you a reason not to pull him either, I don't know. It's hard. But at the very least, you got to use Chambers in the same way, like the most basic Chambers usage, the goal line short yardage packages. But even those weren't present in Missoula. So that was frustrating. It was like basically no Sean anywhere. So at the very least, he's got to do that, but he's got to have a drive that he comes in and starts the drive at some point in the first half. It's got to be the Sean Chambers drive. He comes in and he's the quarterback starting the drive off. And maybe he only goes in for a first possession or two or something. I don't know. But it's always Tommy, and then like Sean comes in and does something funky, or comes in and does a rollout and throws a 60-yard pass. Like I said, it's a hard balance. I'm not considered to know all the answers, but you have to find ways to get your best football players the ball, and particularly in important games. It seems to be important games are when we struggle the most at getting our playmakers the ball.
Yeah.
Like somebody asked us about on Golden Cooley question, and I wish I had it in front of me. In fact, why don't you talk for a second? I'll see if I can't pull it up because I think it's a good question, and I think it's pertaining to what I'm trying to say here.
So what was in my thoughts was the percentage mixture. To me, I would go 80-20 Sean, Tommy, 70-30 Sean, Tommy. I think Tommy can come in and be not a gadget player, but he has a very defined specific skills he's really good at, but certain things he's really not great at. He's really good at picking up long third downs when we need to convert with legs. And he's good at throwing the back shoulder fade. Although I say that tongue in cheek, you're like,
He's thrown some really nice balls this year. I don't think the receivers are helping him too much, though.
But the repertoire of our passing game is deeper and more varied with Sean Chambers, and he just delivers a better ball. We can do more off the play action fake, and we can do more in the run game, I believe, with Chambers.
Was it the NAU game or the Eastern Washington game where there was the Chambers, and we were going left to right as you look at it in TV, and Chambers like rolled to the left, and they just fired a bullet to Ty McCullough in the end zone. He went up and got it. Remember, he bobbled it on the way down and caught a touchdown pass?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a throw that Tommy just can't make.
No.
That was such insane arm strength. He almost put a hole in Ty McCullough, and that was like a 40-yard pass.
I think that might have been Northern Arizona.
I think it was NAU.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at this point, man, you can't not play a guy because you think he's going to cause more turnovers or something. You gotta put it out there. And that's the question.
First team All-American.
Yeah, he's first team All-American.
All Big Sky.
Yeah, Big Sky. Here's the question, and it's a good question, and I really like it. Brant on Twitter asks us, I believe we should have Chambers, Malott, and Davis on the field at all times. It just seems ridiculous to have any one of these players sitting down for any extended period of time. It's time to put in the thoroughbreds and ride them to the finish line. Thoughts?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I like the idea of putting Chambers and Malott out there at the same time. The last time we saw that was North Dakota State, and that's when Tommy got hit
South Dakota
on that fake handoff, or excuse me, South Dakota State. Yep. That's something we're going to have to bring out.
And I think we've avoided it because we're afraid of getting Tommy hurt. But now it's do or die, man. This is win or go home. This is win or go home.
This is it. So,
and we haven't run it for a while, so it would be something fresh that North Dakota State. I mean, they're a smart football team. They'll probably be thinking about it, but it's something that we haven't really shown too much. There's more in the playbook. There's more capabilities of this Bobcat offense than what we're seeing, which is crazy because they are the number one scoring offense in the country. Despite their 7 points in Missoula, they're still number one. The problem is it seems to be running up the scores on bad teams, but I digress. There are a lot of capable scoring options here on this offense. And we haven't seen them all for a while. Late on the line. And yes, I love Jared White. I love Elijah Elliott. It's clear right now Julius Davis is him. He is the man. Get that guy the football. Ride him. Give him 20 carries a game. Come on.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know how he can
100%.
catch the ball, but I guarantee Julius Davis can catch a football. Find some other ways to get him the football.
Yeah.
Do a little screen pass. Do a little wheel route. Get your playmakers the ball.
Yeah.
That guy feeds off it, man. He's the guy he's the type of running back who gets stronger the more carries he gets.
He's the dude. He is, man. I 100% agree with your statement. I love Humphrey. All of them. Elliott, Jared White, you name them.
Even Lane Sumner.
Julius Davis. Yeah. He's just different, man. He's gotten better. He's just gotten better. So
He's gotten better.
I just think he's the dude.
So I agree with 100% with that thought, Brant. Have your playmakers on the field. Ride the guys. Ride your dudes. And if that's not enough, it's not enough. But give them the best shot. Give them the opportunity to win the game.
Yeah. When Julius Davis blew the kiss to Sacramento State sideline, I lost it. I was like, this is the best. I want that. Put that inside my veins and let's roll.
Yeah. If it's something that, like, if a Grizz player does, you call him the biggest turd you've ever seen. Yeah. Bobcat does it, best thing you've ever seen in your life.
Exactly.
That's how trash talking works. When he's on your team, it's fantastic.
All right. Well, I think that's a good start to the episode. 30 minutes in, we could call it right here. That's it, guys. Go
good
Cats.
Stuff. Go Cats.
But we need
down
to
herd.
talk about North Dakota State.
Herd down. Whatever it is. Horns down.
So, hey, before you get into the North Dakota State, I did a little bit of preview on them, a little bit of back history for the listeners. So I'm going to run through that real quick, okay? We've played North Dakota State in the last 5. I'm not sure if we've had more than 5 meetings, but this is what MSU Bobcats gave me. We have 1 win and 4 losses in the last 5 meetings. We beat them in 2005, September 24th.
Yeah.
2005, we won 20-17.
I was going to say 20-16. I was trying to remember the score of that game. It's pretty close.
Yeah. I don't remember that game, and I was at school during that year. So
I went to it. I remember that game.
Interesting. So, yeah, there it is. December 4th, 2010 was the last time that North Dakota State was here, and that's the playoff loss, 17-42, when that game was looking really close. And it was a cold day, but then they ran away with it, literally ran away with it in the second half.
It happened so fast, man. It was crazy.
Yep. That was crazy. Lorenzo Davis fumble. Yeah, it's just it was a weird game. But Coach Fegan kind of talked about that game a little bit today. Then we went back in the Jeff Choate era, December 1st, 2018, we lost 10-52. And then December 21st, 2019, when Jeff Choate proclaimed, "Hey man, we touched the elephant in the room. We're gonna go look at it again, or we know what it feels like." Well, we lost 14-42.
That was better.
Slightly.
Improvement.
Slightly.
Measurable improvement.
I just remember those games where, like, okay, it's like Kevin Cassis scored, Troy Anderson scored, and not a lot else. And they were just like unbroken plays.
Yeah, I remember that. Like the first play of the game, Kevin Cassis Troy Anderson hits Kevin Cassis for like a 60-yard pass, but he gets caught at the 1-yard line, and then we get stuffed 3 times in a row and kick a field goal.
Yeah.
Like score a touchdown there, and it's like, is it a different game? I don't know. But yeah.
We couldn't move the ball. And then, of course, in 2021 National Championship, January 8th, we lost 10-38. So
closer yet.
Kind of ish. So
we held them under 40.
Yeah. Same point differential though.
But yes, we have not had good luck against any of the Dakota schools minus the semifinal 2021 against South Dakota State. Because other than that, we've played them twice now in Brookings out of conference. Everyone remembers the Chris Murray game when one of the Vinatieri kids took a fake field goal and turn it into a touchdown and ice the game for the Jackrabbits even back then. We just haven't had good luck against the Dakotas, man.
No, and this just today, prisoner of the moment, Delaware's going to the Conference USA, and then you're just looking at the FCS and it's just getting smaller and smaller.
It seems like it.
And so it's just going to get distilled down to this every year where you have Montana, Montana State, South Dakota State, North Dakota State. And it's going to just...
maybe also South Dakota and North Dakota.
Yeah. You throw in a couple more.
And a couple Missouri
States,
Valley
Idaho.
football teams and a couple other Big Sky teams.
So it's just... I'm not going to talk about that right now because I have a lot of... That's not for this episode, but
that was out of nowhere announcement today, and I saw that, and I'm just like, ugh. Everybody just go on up. We'll just stay here.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to run down NDSU's season to date, how they got here?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So the first game of the season was in Minneapolis, U.S. Bank Stadium against Eastern Washington Eagles. Eagles played okay in that game, but ended up 35-10. Bison win. Game 1. Week later, they played Maine in Fargo. 44-7 victory there. Central Arkansas at the time, unranked Central Arkansas. They beat them 49-31 in Fargo. But is that a small chink in the armor for NDSU? Like a team coming into Fargo and putting up that kind of performance in an out-of-conference thing? Who knows? But the next week, yes, they did. They lost to South Dakota. That was coming off a bye. So looking at this, so they had the Central Arkansas win, then the bye week, and then they lost in Fargo to South Dakota. I remember watching that game. They lost 24-19. South Dakota was up like 21-7 or something like that. Like NDSU came back and almost won at the end, but South Dakota controlled that game for a while. So that knocked the number 2 Bison down to number 7 next week when they went to Missouri State, took care of business 38-10. And then they had to travel to Grand Forks at number 15 North Dakota and got shellacked 24-19. I watched that game too. That was a shocker. Now, that is a game, like if you want to go back and watch how to beat the Bison and how to physically impose your will, North Dakota came out and just smacked the Bison around for 4 quarters. Like I've never seen the Bison get smacked around. Maybe in the national championship last year, or maybe later in the season at South Dakota State. But North Dakota, man, they put it to them, and they just straight up out physical them.
Yeah.
Then they took care of a couple at home after that. They beat Western Illinois 52-7. Murray State. Murray State's a newcomer to the Missouri Football Conference, aren't they? I think that's why. I think they're actually a conference member. Beat them 38-6, and then they lost at number 1 South Dakota State 16-33 in Brookings. But then they came back and beat number 11 Southern Illinois 34-10. So they rinsed their hands of that bad loss at SDSU against a good ranked opponent, Southern Illinois, who just won a playoff game, like 34-0 against whoever they played. So they're advancing on. Then they beat UNI in Cedar Falls 48-27. Man, you just look at some of these scores. You're just not used to seeing that for North Dakota State. I know they won 48-27, but they gave it 27 points. That's just like not really what you hear about Bison football. And then that was their finale. So they finished with 3 ranked games in a row. They lost to SDSU, but then they took care of business against Southern Illinois at home, and then went to Northern Iowa and knocked Northern Iowa out of the playoffs, I believe, 48-27. And then that leads up to their gimme first game they got against Drake, the worst team in the entire tournament, 66-3. Basically, I think NDSU, if you want to look at it, it's like basically like a 9 seed. I think the committee probably tossed a coin between the Bobcats or MSU 8-9. Or, 6. I think NDSU would have either been a 6 or not ranked. Same with the Cats.
Yeah. It's a tough schedule. I mean, it's a tough draw. Playing the Bison, man. Mm-hmm. But hey, as you said, it's monkey tossing season all over again. We got to toss this monkey off our back. Montana State has a prime opportunity to wash all the bad feelings of the Cat Grizz temporarily out of their mouth, and then make a run.
I mean, if you listen to the FCS pundits or the Bison fans, they're saying they're playing like their best football of the year. They're kind of rolling into the playoffs on a hot streak, including the playoff win. I don't know. I don't know about that. They had a good win against Southern Illinois and UNI, but I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of Bison football this year. I watched them lose a few games, and then I kind of kept an eye on them against Drake until it got ugly quick, which every single person in the world knew it was going to. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that game, or did you watch any of it? Is there anything to even report?
The Drake game?
Yeah.
Oh,
how much did you watch of it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a Pioneer football team playing North Dakota State. Albeit in front of 7,000 and change. It was Thanksgiving weekend. It was weird. Looking at their stats real quick, just they played Maine at home. 15,000 fans came. They're like averaging 15 to 16,000 fans. At South Dakota State, that was almost 20,000. So I don't know if the crowd from Montana State's going to get to them as far as the noise goes. And I was thinking about this too, Thorny. Maybe they're actually kind of excited to change it up. I mean, weird thought. Does it energize
Bison fans
them
are bored, man. They're bored.
Does it energize them to be the underdog for once?
I think it does, and I think it energizes them to be coming to Bozeman. Exactly. That's something new for them. Mm-hmm. That's something new for the fans who weren't there pre-2010.
Yeah.
That's something for like the newer Bison fans they're used to all the winning and all the national championships. Okay, that's not happening maybe right now, or they had a down year or whatever. But now they got an opportunity to go play at a big-time environment against a team that, probably gets them a little bit excited. We're one of the kind of the blue buds in the FCS, and they haven't had a lot of opportunity to come play against us in our place. So I think they're snagging up some tickets. I think the crowd would have been better if this game was played probably 10 years ago in Bozeman for NDSU fans traveling, but I think it's going to be pretty good. I think there'll be more than you want to see in Bozeman. Because I also wonder what the apathy right now is in Bozeman. I haven't seen anything reported about any sort of sellout or anything like this. I probably won't sell out. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't.
How are you feeling about the Bobcats right now?
I want to go to this game.
Shift.
I really wanted to get tickets to this game. I almost booked a hotel. I just decided I didn't want to roll the dice on money. I just didn't want to do it. But I would be there cheering the Cats on, man. We've had plenty of years as Bobcat fans, you and I, anyway, of not being in the playoffs. And I just don't want to take it for granted. I want to be excited for some playoff football. And it's against a big-time opponent, man. Opponent that's given us a lot of grief. They are the premier FCS dynasty of the last 10-plus years, period. NDSU may have toppled them for 1 year. We'll see if that holds true going forward. But they are the premier brand, the big name in the FCS. You should be excited to have them come into Bozeman.
Absolutely. 100%.
And now's a good time to read something from Russell Dam. And I can't find it, darn it. But he's basically saying, there's less artificial noise allowed in the stadium in the playoffs. So make sure you're there. If you're there, Bobcat fans, be loud. Scream your head off. No cowbells. Smuggle them in, whatever. But you're going to have to make the noise yourselves, okay?
Yeah.
Let's be loud, Bobcat fans, for those of us who can't be there. Let's cheer on the Cats. The football season's not over. The football season is not over. There's some definite doom and gloom around Bobcat Nation buzzing around right now. And that's maybe warranted, but whatever. We got a football game. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on cheering on the boys and trying to come away with a win, a huge program win. This would be a statement win, and I think it would kind of right the ship and make a lot of Cat fans feel better about what happened in Missoula. A little bit better.
All right. This is a perfect summation right there. Thorny, I was going to talk a little bit about some national rankings, just comparisons. I have a list of them.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Total offense, Montana State is number 3 in the nation. These are not conference this is in the nation. So we're number 3 in the nation with 469 yards of offense. NDSU is 6th in the nation with 451-ish yards. Our rush offense, Montana State's number 2 in the nation, 293.4. NDSU is 4th in the nation at 240. So edge Bobcats right there. Scoring offense, Montana State is the number 1 scoring offense in the nation. Your Montana State Bobcats, the number 1 scoring offense in the FCS. NDSU is number 3.
It's one of the more high-scoring Bison offenses that there's been. So that's going to be interesting. Their offense is better than their defense, I think.
Okay. Total defense, Montana State, number 30 in the nation, giving up 327.5 yards. North Dakota State, number 6 in the nation, giving up 287 yards a game. So that's the biggest discrepancy out of all these I will read to you. Scoring defense, it's a little bit different. Montana State's 23rd in the nation, giving up 10.6 points per game. 20.6.
Yep.
Yeah, 20.6. My handwriting. We all
it's like, damn, 10.6?
Yeah. It's my fault. I write out this stuff. North Dakota State's number 13, giving up 18.1. So a little bit different, a little bit closer right there. The red zone defense, we're number 102 in the nation.
Yeah, but what are they? They're bad too.
119.
Yeah, they're both terrible.
I know. I saw that. I was like, what?
We're both so bad in the red zone defensively. It's pretty comical and sad.
Pass yards allowed were 56 with 205 yards, 205.1. They're 17th with 179.2. And team passing efficiency, which I don't know how they calculate this. Probably completions per attempts. Montana State's 12, and they're number 2. So when they choose to pass the ball, they're almost the top. Another thing I thought that was just kind of interesting, Montana State is number 1 in net punting. Go Brendan Hall, 42.6 yards per punt.
I didn't know that. Damn, nicely done.
They're 88th at 34.09 yards per punt. So there is like just kind of some heads up stats.
And the other stat that I noticed when I was kind of browsing around today, Cam Miller is number 2 in passing efficiency in the country, only behind Mark Gronowski. So doing what they do, man, running the football, being efficient, throwing the football. Nothing's different in Fargo. Nothing. They might not have some of the talent they've had in the past. The scheme, the way they go about things, largely the same. And if you ask Bison fans, it's a little similar to the Cats. They got away for some stuff maybe earlier in the season, kind of getting back to their roots. And that's what they're doing heading into the playoffs. Can we get back to our roots is the question.
I think these are two very similar teams. I mean, Coach Vegan has modeled his program after the Bison.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
No.
And they also have a quarterback who runs a lot. What is his name? I don't have it in front of me. Cole something?
Peyton? Is that it?
Is it Peyton Cole or Cole Peyton? One of the two. That's like their leading rusher, I think. Yeah, he has like 500 yards. He's basically like Sean Chambers type role. Comes in, he'll throw some passes, spin around a little bit, but mostly he's in there to be a big, imposing rusher who also has some pretty good speed when he breaks down towards the sideline. So he's going to be a big concern.
Yeah, 6'3", 230. Ugh.
What's his name?
Cole Peyton.
Cole Peyton.
He's a sophomore, so he's going to be there for a while.
He's a big boy, man. He looks big. If you see him on the screen, he's big. He's a big kid.
Yeah, that's like Danny Yu back there.
Yeah.
No joke, dude. Okay. All right, let's take some Golden Coolie questions, all right?
All right. We got lots of Golden Coolie questions, and they're all going to be probably a lot of similar type questions here. I also hate how my phone is resetting everything on here. So that's fun for me.
I can bring one up on Bobcat Nation.
Yeah.
One from BP Cats 20. He says, do you think the Cats can regain the sense of urgency needed to perform well versus the Bison? And do you trust the coaches to come up with a good game plan to beat NDSU? I read this today at work, and gotta say, these are great questions. These feel like questions I've been wrestling with all week.
We've been texting. Excuse me, I'm yawning talking. We've been texting each other these questions.
Yes. Do you think the Cats can regain a sense of urgency needed to perform well? I hope so. Like Thorny said, this is do or die. This win and advance, lose, and your season is done. I do think, yes, the Bobcats will come out with a fire in their bellies. And if they don't, then that's a big problem. That'll be a huge talking point going into the offseason. That has some major implications in my brain. But the second part of that question, do you trust the coaches to come up with a good game plan to beat NDSU? I don't know. They've kind of dropped the ball in some big games. And I think if you would have asked me this early season, I would have said, yeah. But it hasn't been trending that way. And I think I kind of got lulled in a little bit of fool's gold when we played Northern Arizona and Eastern Washington. I was like, man, we're getting better. But it might have just been that those guys are kind of bad teams and we're just better than them. So when we play these top-level teams, when, like as Thorny likes to say, when the chips are down, can we play loose? Because we don't play loose. We seem to play tight. We seem to play reserved. We're not as aggressive. And to me, that's the biggest thing in going into this game. The Bobcats need to play physical AF. And
the playbook shrinks too. So it's not just like the players might play tight, but like the coach seems to coach a little tighter too.
Yeah.
So, I absolutely believe we can come out with fire. I really hope we can. I don't know if we will. We're capable. I think that was the question. Are we capable? Yeah, absolutely we're capable. I think the team is. I think there's leaders on this team. There's guys that are going to really fire the team up. And we've seen the Bison before, so I think that helps a little bit too. But yeah, I agree. I'm not sure I have a real big faith that coaches can. But also, there's been some execution issues too, especially on defense. So again, it's a hard... I can't place the entire blame on Garza when guys are missing tackles and, making wrong reads and all that stuff, maybe necessarily. But I don't know. I think I'm hoping that they have enough self-scouting film on themselves now that they can come out there and make some adjustments. Well, yeah.
And if it goes sideways, here's what I want to see. I want to see Coach Vegan take control of the game. I want to see him in the huddles calling the shots. Dictating terms. This is his team.
I want to see things change. If we're getting our butts kicked, put Chambers in. Start blitzing. Do something different. Don't just sit back there and just let it happen. Fight back. That's when I'm frustrated a little bit. Frustrations for some of the loss in Missoula in particular. Roger Fisher asked us, and this is a similar question, do you have any explanation for the inconsistent performance of the Cats this season? And how confident are you that they will be the best versions of themselves on Saturday?
That's a really good question. Is there any explanation for the inconsistencies? I think it has to do with trust. To me, the only explanation that Coach Houseright's not calling the plays that work against other teams is he just
doesn't trust his guys, doesn't trust Chambers.
Yeah, he just trusts Tommy more exclusively than Sean Chambers and wants to play ball control games. So
that's not a bad thought. I mean, there might be something to that. But yeah, I believe the inconsistencies, I think, kind of start at the top a little bit here. Not Vegan, I'm sorry, but more like the coaching staff. Not necessarily the players. I think the inconsistencies I've seen changing how we go about going about it on offense, even defensively, it seems like we've kind of changed how we've played. I feel like we've adjusted in bad times for the worse. So I don't know. That's my only explanation for inconsistency would be probably coaching. But again, not a football expert by any stretch here.
Tom Stuber put out this week something about our pass defense just going to trash.
Oh, yeah. Lately. We've allowed like 70+% completion. since like Idaho.
Yeah. To me, that is all about getting pressure on the quarterback and making him feel uncomfortable. And it was pretty apparent during the cat grace that we weren't sending a lot of pressure. It's just something the Cats don't seem to do with Garza. That's something that you can easily change. And it doesn't have to be safety blitzes. It doesn't have to be Ryan Lenore, Drew Polidor. You tell Danny Yu to go blitz the A gap or, come off the edge somewhere. They can do that. They know how to do that. You just got to do it.
You got to trust him to do it. You got to trust your secondary to cover, make a play. You just can't sit there and let things come to you. I feel like we just let the plays come to us.
Yeah.
As I called it, sure. The bend but also break defense. It's about as bad as you can get, really.
Yeah. So, to me, the biggest key in this game, if you asked Ryan Foley, is being more aggressive on defense.
I think we can move the ball offensively.
Yes.
We did okay between the 20s in Missoula. We couldn't punch it in, so that's a problem. That's a concern going into this game is can we actually score if we can move the ball around the field? But yeah, my biggest concern is the defense, and if they can play how they played against like South Dakota State or, early in the season when they're just kind of punching people and taking names, then yeah, that's going to be huge for the Cats. That is a big key. Tyler Irwin asks us, we're going to have a lot of similar questions here, I feel. Which house right offense is going to show up on Saturday? The pass-heavy anti-Sean Chambers predictable offense or the dynamic dual threat QB that can put up 300-plus rushing yards? Well, I know you and I have voiced how we would like it to look. You have your percentage, I have my percentage. They're both more than it has been. Whatever you and I might disagree on the percentage, but it's, I don't know. I would say I'm okay with like a 40-60, Chambers 40, Tommy 60. I would be okay with that. I think anything less than that is starting to get to the, what are we doing?
Where I'm more like 70-30,
yeah.
80-20 Chambers.
I think you said 80-20 earlier tonight. So I think, yeah, anywhere between 40 and 80 then. We'll put it that way. Is my Chambers mix, the chili mix.
I'd go 100%. I'd go 100% Chambers. I would not put that off the table if I was the OC.
I could see that and use Tommy in more of a bring him on the field next to Chambers and use him for like gadget plays. Use him in, actually give him a read option handoff, hand the ball to Tommy and let him run around the edge. Do a little pop pass to Tommy, send him out wide, do something crazy. As long as Chambers is pulling the trigger back there. That's just one more excellent playmaker on the field. If Tommy and Sean are back there at the same time, if they're going to be there at the same time, I'd almost like to see Chambers be the guy getting the ball initially.
Why not replicate Weber State again? How do we look so offensively dynamic and defensively just stalwart?
That was the most NDSU looking Bobcat team I've ever seen. Under center,
back to that?
Rollouts. That's what we did all game long. Heavy personnel packages. It hurts not having Derek Snell. It does hurt. I think that might be understated how bad of a loss Derek Snell was to this offense.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy who sets the tone. You want a physicality guy, a guy who's going to come out there and crush a poor linebacker tracking Tommy. Derek Snell's the guy. So, yeah, I don't know. There's your answer, I guess, Tyler. Let's break up the questions, the sad, frustrating questions with a good question. More lighthearted question. Nick, that's what I meant to say. Nick Deal asks us, when mixing your chili, what's your favorite thing to add? Is it, and you got to choose here from this list, sour cream, shredded cheese, hot sauce, jalapenos, onions?
Onions. Easy.
Onions?
I love onions.
Without anything to cut them?
Chopped onions.
That's not what I meant. I'm saying like you don't have like a cheese or a sour cream to counterbalance the bite of the onion.
So it'd be onions number one, cheese two.
Yeah. I would say shredded cheese my number one. Although I do like sour cream and chili. I don't need it to cool the heat. I just like the taste of sour cream.
I don't like sour cream.
I love sour cream.
My youngest son is on a sour cream kick, which is weird to me, but off tangent.
I say shredded cheese. Oh, actually, I'm going to rephrase that. In my house, I'm going to say hot sauce because I'm cooking for a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they don't like spicy food. So I have to make very mild chili. So if it's my bowl of chili, I got to put some hot sauce in it first thing to make it back to like adult level spice. So if it's a normal bowl of chili that I've gone to a restaurant and they've already properly seasoned the thing, then shredded cheese. If I'm at a tailgate and someone put some spice into the chili, shredded cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to spice mine up. I use the most mild mixes I can. Mild chili for 7-year-old discernible palates.
It's a good question.
What's your number 2, or what would you put on this list? Or what would you put on your chili that's not on this list?
I like a little crunch sometimes. I'll put like some croutons in my chili.
Croutons?
Yeah.
What flavor of croutons?
It's just like a garlic butter.
I don't know how to process this right now. I've never heard of anybody putting croutons in their chili.
Or, if you had like Fritos. Fritos would be the crunch.
Now we're talking Frito chili pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just put
something with a crunch
on top. Just put a bowl of Fritos and then just put chili on top of it.
Sometimes I use saltines. Just crunch up saltines.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, croutons probably would be good. I'm giving you a hard time. I just never thought of it or heard of it. They're just usually flavored differently. Avocado. I really like avocado in chili.
Dang. Didn't see that one coming, but yes. I don't think I've ever put avocado in chili, but I would go with that, man.
Qualifier.
How did mixing the chilies become like the most the most R&R thing ever? And
I don't know.
That's what people recognize this for. I love it.
I think it's because I completely missed your metaphor and I just took it very literally. I think it's what that's why it became the thing that is. I'm like, well, just mix them together. Or your mom made the chili. Your mom brought you into this world. Eat her chili. Be respectful. I don't know. I guess it's funny. I've liked it. Well, there'll only be one chili next year, probably. So enjoy it while we got it.
I don't know, man. We'll see what happens.
Let's keep. This is a good question here. Brendan Henshaw asks us, do you think it was intentional by the committee to give the Cats a prove it game with North Dakota State?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That one has the most likes on Twitter, so I think people who saw the question also agree that that's a good question.
I think Bobcat fans would just like readily be like, yeah, I feel that, man. I don't know. There could be something to that. North Dakota State was going to have to play someone. So last year we had a tough draw with Weber. And gosh, yeah, I don't know. That's tough. 2 years in a row, Montana State's first game is a pretty tough draw.
I don't know.
That's the deal, man. That's why I would love to play the Cat Grizz game in October, because talk about this. You could gain some momentum. It wouldn't be like this do or die game at the end of the season where, like, if you lose, you can't reclaim a top 4 seed.
Yeah, and you have to carry the loss with you into your first game, most likely. It's just not ideal.
It just knocks you out. Yeah. And for some reason, I guess maybe if the game was close, it would feel a lot different, and probably the seedings would be a little bit different than too. So I don't know.
Well, I do feel like I was surprised to see that we got a 6 seed, and then immediately like disheartened to see that we got the Bison. So I mean, the committee may have done that on purpose for sure.
See, I think out of this, any outcome from this game, changes are coming. The worst the Bobcats have looked, and I've seen them in the last couple of years, was playing against the Grizzlies last week or 2 weeks ago. And I don't want anything to do with that type of team. I want a team that's aggressive, that dictates terms, and punches you in the mouth. We were anything but. So if we lose to North Dakota State this week, and that happens all over again, well, there's going to be a lot of changes coming in the offseason. There should be some questions answered. And then if we beat the North Dakota State Bison, it means we answer those questions and we took care of that business. So either way, I'm cool. I want the Cats to win, obviously. Go Cats. Like, let's win. I want to go to national championship. Like, we've talked about this. This is the most important part of the season. I couldn't wait to get to this. I just want the Cats to be good, and I want us to be aggressive. I hate being pushover in football. Like, that's like my least favorite part. Like, I don't want any part of a team that's just been like, doesn't show up for big games. Doesn't want it. Like, Ohio State got beat by Michigan. I didn't know if you watched the game this week.
Did not. I saw the scores. So, I felt bad for you. Okay. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Rough grew up in an Ohio State family, and one of the Michigan players afterwards was like, they didn't want it like I wanted it, and I was like, he's right. I could see it. It's like, they're not tough. He goes, they're not tough. They didn't want it like I wanted it. He goes, I'm not the toughest guy on the planet on my team, but they didn't want it like I wanted it. And I was like, man, that's such a good answer. Like, I can't disagree. And that's the way Montana State has to feel. Like, they got to go out there and just go, dude, these guys don't want it like I want it. And I'm going to make sure, I'm going to leave it all out there. You think you're going to take this from me? Heck no, man. You're in Bobcat Stadium. You're playing the Montana State Bobcats.
That's the key. We're in Bozeman. It's been a long time since we lost in Bozeman. It's been a long time since we had this big of an opponent come to Bozeman. But if they're going to have that fire, that stadium behind them, that's a whole different mental place. If you're in Bobcat Nation with the crowd roaring behind you, getting you juiced up, than being like in the Hornet's Nest in Missoula. Very different situations. And I think the crowd's going to be a big factor in this. If not for the fact that they're just going to be on the Bobcats side, they're going to be getting the guys fired up. And the Cats know you don't lose at home. Like, that's a protect this house type thing. Like, they know what's on the line. If this isn't in Fargo, I would 100% be sure that we're not winning this football game.
Yeah.
After losing to the Grizz and then having to somehow go to Fargo, I'd be like, call it in, boys. But we have a huge opportunity to correct the course of the season and to take down a titan of FCS football. It's a big opportunity. I said when I was disappointed or disheartened when I saw that the Bison were put right on our side, that we're going to get them. That changed throughout the weeks leading up to this moment now, as I've come to the conclusion that, this is a big opportunity. You want to be the best. I want to take down the Bison. I want to pay them back for the losses we've suffered in Fargo. They need to come to Bozeman, and they need to learn you don't win in Bozeman that easy.
Just whoop them.
Whoop down. Give them a good old-fashioned R&R Catcast whoop down. I think it's clear that playing NDSU will energize most of the players that have lost to them before. Do you think that energy will be more impactful in the game than the energy that NDSU players have carried from being disrespected this season? That's from Dan, my man on Twitter. So he's saying NDSU fans have this energy from being disrespected, which is kind of interesting. Like, the Bison lost a couple games, they're almost just completely written them off, which is, they're still 8-3. They are by far the best unseeded team in this tournament. And then, what we were just talking about, the energy the Cats have from what's happened to them this season. I mean, the Bison are playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they feel like they are being disrespected.
I think Montana State's going to have that same chip. I mean, they've heard it. If you listen to, if any of those players actually listen to this podcast, they heard me just going off last week. Man, yeah, it's interesting. It's a weird dynamic. The underdog role for NDSU is new. That's something that they could rally behind. I think the underdog role, the us versus the world mentality, is easy to rally a team. I think that's, Jeff Choate's calling card right there, and it works well. There's something galvanizing behind that. I heard Travis Alule talk about that at one point. But Montana State, at the same time, this is a prove-it game for Montana State. This is a prove-it game that we're still a top dog, that we're not pushovers, that you don't come into Bozeman and win, that Bobcats are a team to be reckoned with. Because right now, the narrative is not that. We got our butts handed to us. We got to come back. Right the ship, buddy. This is a prove-it game for the Cats.
100% agree. This is a question from Joshua Eckert, and I don't really want to answer this right now. You've kind of alluded to it. We've all kind of alluded to it. If the offense doesn't perform against NDSU again, is Housewright done? We don't have to touch that one on this episode. I wanted to read it because it was a Golden Coolie question, and we appreciate all questions. I'm not sure I want to touch that yet. But yeah, there will be questions. There will be questions. We'll put it that way, I guess. I'm not going to say one way or the other what I think about that.
We have opinions on it, Josh. We're not scared.
We have opinions. Rich Bronick on Twitter asks us, this is interesting. Is the won't be beat slogan overrated, or will the team embody that statement with the bounce back run to Frisco? Is the team really using that this year? Beat. That was a big thing, like, we won't be beat. I feel like that was more of a last year thing.
I heard it a couple times this year.
Okay.
Man, it's a tough one.
I mean, it just ties back into what we've been talking about. I hate to say
it's like so cliche. You like, gotta take it 1 week at a time. It really is, because you could like speculate down the road. You're like, oh man, if we win this, and we go next week, and we're going back to Missoula in 3 weeks. Does your heart want to think about that? There's a whole thread on Bobcat Nation. You want to play the Grizz again? I do, actually. I'd love that. I don't know, actually, if I would love that.
I have avoided that thread because I don't want to. I want to talk about the Bison. And I feel like everyone's talking about all sorts of things right now, other than the football game in front of us.
Right.
It's driving me a little bit crazy.
Any others?
So my answer to that is, I'll just put it this way. We've talked about it, and I think they can embody that and all that stuff. I just think any kind of slogan is overrated, personally. I think like life mantras, little slogans you craft for yourself to get yourself to perform at a higher level, I think it's all kind of BS. So I'm not a big self-help type guy. So
you weren't a big Ted Lasso fan?
I like Ted Lasso. It was kind of funny, not because it was like this inspiring show that made me like want to be a better man or anything like that. It's just like it had some funny moments. As about it. Made me chuckle from time to time, and it was positive and happy, and I did appreciate that. I appreciate the positive message and all that stuff. But yeah, there's no Believe poster anywhere in my house or anything like that, No, that's not how I roll. Too much of a realist, I guess. Too pragmatic. I think that's all I got on Twitter. That was a lot of questions.
Yeah, we got to pick one.
Well, there's the chili one, which is always good. But we had a lot of good questions. A lot of hard questions this week. Like people asking the hard questions, because there's questions right now about the Bobcat program. And I don't know who we want to give it to. I'm scrolling through
Why
here.
don't you pick one from Twitter?
We'll go with Brant's question about the thoroughbreds. Having the thoroughbreds on the field at the same time. Right, you guys? I like that question. That was the one I was looking for. It was the first one I asked, but it was way further up the list because I bounced to it first. So yeah, there you go. Sorry about the delay there. The good news is when I edit this podcast, there's a nice little feature that I use that pretty much cuts anything more than 2 seconds of dead air down to like 1.8 seconds. So that will help. You won't even notice that, listeners. All the long, awkward pauses that just happened now of me trying to find, I'm going to cut all that dead air out, and you're going to be none the wiser.
All right, man.
there anything else you want to say? We didn't really talk about like football matchups at all. This was just a whole lot of griping about what we want to see, being a tougher football team, play more Sean Chambers.
Yeah. Well, we're not good at matchups. We're just two dads viewing from afar. I mean, we know who their big time players are.
And it's also a team that I think, unless you're a brand new Bobcat fan, you're familiar with the Bison. We've played them almost every year in the playoffs for like the last 5 years.
This game's going to be like the Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing at each other like, you're me. No, you're me. And
a little bit.
It could feel like that. The way they practice, the way they look, Coach Vegan is talking about it. He's like, yeah, we're very familiar with what they do. Yeah, pretty much the same stuff we do. So it's going to come down to who wants more of it. Actually, this is going to come down to turnovers. If you look at North Dakota State's loss, they always had struggles with the turnovers. How do you get turnovers? Got to make Cam Miller feel uncomfortable back there. And how do you do that? You got to bring some pressure.
You have to. We cannot get home on him with 4.
Yep.
I'll say that right now. I don't think that's going to be effective enough. It might be once or twice, but it's not going to be enough to knock him out of any sort of rhythm.
If we go the first series when North Dakota State has the ball and we get them into a 3rd and long and we don't do anything and we drop
9 and they get they pick up 3rd and 12. It's a bad sign.
I'm done.
It's a bad sign, man.
Just Bobcat fans, start praying at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you send the house and Cam Miller hits a guy on an out route off his back foot that's well covered, it happens. They made a great play. Yeah. Make him make a great play.
Exactly.
That's it. Make him make the throw. Don't give him wide open targets. Like my fear, this has been my fear now since Idaho, and you're looking at the stats, NDSU is very capable of this. They sit back there, they have time in the pocket, they pick up the little 10-yard, 12-yard, 8-yard passes, and they do that all day long. They're like the most efficient passing team, one of the most efficient passing teams in the country. Cam Miller's the second most efficient passing quarterback in the country. Our passing defense efficiency, as Tom Stuber alluded to, has been declining steadily, and they're the number 4 rushing team in the country. Can we stop them? Can we get off the field? Can we give our offense enough time to make the plays to get their play count high enough to whatever House Wright feels the numbers is necessary to put Chambers into the game?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? I thought about this yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up. The Cats are an explosive offense, and it seems like we struggle a little bit in the red zone offensively. And if we want to have more plays, why don't we run some tempo sometimes? If we're worried about other teams controlling the clock and we want to get X amount of plays, and start running some tempo.
I think Coach Ty Gregorak mentioned that on the broadcast on the Cat Grizz game, something I agreed to when he said, makes a lot of sense, Ryan.
I mean, not every time, but like once in a while, like, get up there. Okay, we just had like a 30-yard bomb. Get up to the line, snap the ball. Have a play ready.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Run Julius Davis, A-gap.
Yeah.
God's play. Smash even them.
See if the defense is even set. Let's try and catch them off their heels a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's something we haven't done. So that this would be an opportunity to spring something like that. One drive where it's just like Tommy comes in and it's just tempo. Just hurry up tempo offense, an entire drive down the field.
Gosh, man, it's exactly what I want. I just want the Bobcats to dictate terms, man. Mm-hmm. That's all I want. Aggressive as heck on defense and smash mouth football on offense.
Vegan said it, like, heading into Cat Grizz, we can't play on our heels. Well, we did. So now let's make the Bison play on their heels. Let's try and flip the script. That's all we can do.
All right.
Anything else you want to say here?
I'm just jacked up now. I just want to go play football. So I want to watch the Cats play football.
I know. It's been the bye week's been killing me. Like, it's Monday. The Bobcats haven't played in a while. And now it's only Monday. Like, we still have a long time before they're going to play on Saturday. So it's like, ugh.
Hey, we got it in on Monday. It's not Tuesday night.
We did. Maybe that's the bad juju that's been happening, is you and I haven't been able to actually record on a Monday in some time. Somebody's been sick or something's always been happening.
Yeah.
We're here on a Monday as scheduled, as normal procedure. All right. Well, my last thing I want to say is implore Bobcat Nation to show up, be loud, do your part to make the bison uncomfortable, because it has an impact. It can have an impact. Be there, be loud, go Cats.
Go Cats.